A title card appears. Vision Edge Media presents Phenomenal Disabilities, a docu-series by Tree Lowe. Tree in the colorful hair wrap, the selective mutism and LGBT plus filmmaker who found her voice through media. With Liz Prichard and Sam Lasher, disability is not always linear and something to be ashamed of, a universal perspective. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to Phenomenal Disabilities with Tree Lowe, a podcast brand for disability inclusion and awareness. But before I start my show, I want to remind everyone, my listeners, to follow us and leave a quick review. On today's show, we will be speaking with our guests who are activists, members from the disability community, LGBT community as well, and they are also part of the industry, a movie industry as well, and writers, and many more. And a part of the show we'll be discussing is relationships and disability, disability, LGBT community, and characters in the media industry itself, accurate representation of the LGBTQ plus community. And guests, introduce yourselves.
You want me to go first or you?
You go first.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Liz Prichard, and I have a comic book series I created called Paperbag Comic. I know Tree from a few years ago when we worked together on the ADA lead-on introduction for ADA 30, Celebration of Disability Arts, Culture, Education, and Pride. And we learned a lot about video editing and experiences in post-production. It was fantastic. And I currently do a lot of remote video editing and flash mentoring with Lights Camera Access, LCA. And we're really happy to be here. And we're also part of the LGBTQ community and disability community. This is my partner, Sam, and take it away, Sam.
Hello, my name is Sam. I'd like to thank Liz for helping me jumpstart my journey to being a disability advocate. She introduced me to ANCA, organization she used to be a part of, and LCA, Lights Camera Access, which I'm currently employed under, doing subtitles. I'm currently a student at SUNY ESF, the Environmental College of Environmental Science and Forestry, and I'm working on becoming an advocate for not only the disability community, but also other disenfranchised community, like the Indigenous community of New York, Endangered Species Act work, and hopefully try to pave a better future for the generation that precedes us.
Awesome. But before I have us proceed on to the show, can you both describe what you look like for our low vision audience listeners so they get an idea of what you look like?
Yes. I am a 29-year-old tall Caucasian non-binary individual with light brown hair, eyebrows. I'm not wearing my glasses now, but I usually have thick framed glasses. And I have gray blue eyes, wearing a dark colored shirt with a white collar. And Sam?
I am a 25-year-old non-binary individual. I'm wearing circle glasses. I have short blonde hair that is sticking up on the top and is flat on the sides. I'm white or Caucasian as well. I have green eyes, and I'm wearing a gray hoodie with two symbols on either side.
And what's behind you? Are those anime cartoon pillowcases?
Well, this is a classic Pikachu based off the original design by Nintendo back when he used to be rounder. And this is, Sam knows more about this one. It's a little pet shop tan.
It's a little pet shop plush they used to be a toy in the early to late 2000s, and that's a plush that I was able to find on eBay. It's one of my interests.
Awesome. Well, before I go on ahead and to start my show, I'm going to describe myself. I'm a brown-skinned African-American woman with a multicolored hair wrap. Today I have like a more subdued, let's say a vest on, and my dark blouse on with Phenomenal Disabilities on my t-shirt. And behind me I have a neon sign with multicolors with Phenomenal Disabilities with Tree Lowe behind me and a mic. And I know you both had discussed, opened up with the show in regards to school and so forth. I'm going to ask you to start with some questions in regards to
You know, how did you two meet?
Well, we met about 6 years ago in college at MCC.
We were at Monroe Community College in Rochester. I was going for my biology degree, and she was returning the MCC after being there previously. And we were both a member of the anime club, where we watched anime and we discussed like East Asian cultures. And she showed me her comics one day, and I thought they were really interesting. And it's been really wonderful seeing her like develop and bloom since I met her that day. But I'm really grateful that I was able to be a member of that club and meet not only her, but a lot of good friends that I still speak to today.
Yes.
And you know, as you mentioned about school, being part of the disability community and as well as the LGBT community, can you kind of give the world a brief, you know, a little bit about your navigation? You know, exploring if it's good or bad or a mixture of both, in the community, you know, outside of other communities, so the world can kind of get a better understanding of how to address, you know, being a little nicer and kinder.
Ooh, see, my experience with college was very challenging because of what you said. They weren't as kind, at least the staff and faculty, in my personal experience. I don't know. And then Sam, gets your thoughts too, but I had to do a lot of extra work learning to advocate for myself and how to advocate for myself, and with my IEP and everything, and test mods and just accommodations in general not being met, especially in the beginning, or being discriminated. I was discriminated against in college a bit by staff and professors because they knew my label.
Yeah.
And that's tough when that happens. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, because it's like, okay, well, this is the person I go to for help. And in college, it's different than high school, if there's anyone who's younger viewing this, because the teachers or overseers don't do it for you. You got to go to the disability office yourself and do it yourself. You know, you got to learn to advocate for yourself and your parents, and no one else can do it for you.
Right.
But yeah, it was, yeah.
Oh, well, I kind of had a very non-linear and untraditional like journey when it came to my education. I actually spent 3 years like in the BOCES special education program, and I had a really bad starting perception of my disability at that time, because once they discovered I had a disability, I had the anxiety, and I had a lot of behavioral issues, which at the time I didn't know was autism, especially in a female. And I was actually explicitly told that girls can't get autism, and that wouldn't happen to me, and that I'm just being a bad kid. And I had that really bad transition because I was kind of told I was an other, and I was also not treated very nicely. And what a lot of people don't realize is people like me or other people who had to go through that kind of alternative education, they have a gap in their education, either like educationally or like socially, and that really helps like people grow, is being able to experience your peers and also being able to learn at the same level. And I've noticed with a lot of other people who have been in that program, or who maybe their needs weren't met, they end up having a lot of questions years down the line that a lot of people knew as kind of common knowledge. And I feel that way too. Like I kind of feel like everyone else is out, they know more than me, and I feel really held back. But my college experience was a lot better, because at that point I'd been independent. I've been in like mainstream education for a while, and I learned how to advocate for myself pretty well. And back in the day, I wasn't really that proud of having an IEP, and I was pretty ashamed of having a label, just because I associated that with me being lesser or being not as smart as other people. But in college, I realized that the IEP and my label, it doesn't matter like with that, because I still got to the same place as other people who don't have that label, and that those like accommodations are there to help me, and there's no shame in taking that extra time or those extra resources to help you succeed, because it is more difficult, definitely. I kind of like the freeing schedule because it is different than high school. You don't have as many people telling you what to do, but personally, I didn't have a great experience with like teachers and educators in high school. So when I went to college, it felt really nice to be independent and to kind of do stuff myself. But I can get why some people would find that really challenging because it is like a totally different game. But now that I'm in ESF, I took a 2-year break in between going there from when I graduated from MCC. So I'm still kind of adjusting to it. It's definitely a faster pace because this is my bachelor degree. And I have that gap in education being 25, and a lot of people I go to school with are about 19 or 20. So there's a little bit of, not embarrassment, but I'm a little bit slow to pick up on the pace with that. So I have to work a little bit harder to get to where other people a little bit younger than me are. But I realize that it's not about like how old you are. It's when you get stuff done at a time that's good for you. So overall, I think the schooling was really good because it gave me a schedule that I can follow. And when I wasn't in school and I wasn't working, it was really difficult for me to plan my days. But I like being busy, essentially, right now.
Right. I could honestly, I could totally relate to both of you. But it's funny because I went to a lot of special ed classes, in grade school and high school. It was funny, it was a little different, it was a little nicer, when I was in grade school and high school. But it's interesting as I'm older now, in my 50s, and I'm in college, I guess professors and college classmates and stuff assume, oh, well, she can figure it out, or, I've had like a couple times where people are like, oh, did you pass the class last semester? What'd you get? I'm like, none of your business. It's like, I passed the class, I'm here. I be proud that I made it another semester. It's a tough journey for me. And these are people who are my age that I'm really surprised that will still have that ableist, approach, rather than being supportive. But, it depends on the person. I'm not saying that everyone's like that, and, it's funny, I see you two, being so young, I wanted to be able to ask you in regards to you coming out in the LGBT community. I know I came out late in life. I didn't come out till actually my graduation to my late 40s, and those were my sash. So for you, how was it for you to, when you came out, and were your friends and community accepting and embracing?
Do you want me to go first, or?
You can go first.
All right. So here's the thing, we were just talking about this recently too. When I first came out officially, I was about 15, but I didn't have a word for it until I was 15. I always knew in my heart that I was not straight. So, and a lot of people could tell before I did in elementary school because of how I dressed and how I acted. Yeah, and how I acted. And for one thing, I didn't know any of what the words meant. Like, gender dysphoria and stuff. Like in first grade, I wanted to wear guy clothes and be called Max. And back then, people saw it as me being deviant or acting out or anything. And I didn't like dressing up like a girl at all. I've come to terms with my gender identity as non-binary at this point, and I'm more comfortable in my skin now, but that caused me a lot of anxiety. Not kind of the sexual orientation, but gender alone. A lot of hard anxiety for me of like, okay, well, if, trying to mask and now I don't see a point in masking for me with that realm, because I want others to be free to be themselves, especially when it comes to being true to who you identify as, especially in the LGBTQ community. And when I first realized that I wasn't straight, I think it was about 14 or 15 years old, because I didn't have a word for it, but that's the official one. I came out to my parents, and I got bullied a lot for being gay. Actually, my extended family doesn't get it either. I have a close support network now because it's quality, not quantity, I've come to learn. And family at times can be what you make it too.
Right.
It's not always just about blood. It's about who you feel safe with, who makes you supportive. But you know, my mom's been really supportive too when I was younger about that, and I'm grateful for that, because it seems like no one else was when I was younger at that point. When I got in college, it was hit or miss. It was more about the disability struggles, but it can be really hard too when you're non-gender conforming or not. It's hard because it's hard to feel safe sometimes, or who can I talk to, because I've had bad experiences being bullied a lot and getting hurt and people being aggressive toward me, and it's hard. You just got to find a safe support network and stick with it, because when to come out, I don't know, it's hard. Do you want to say something quick, Sam, while I word my thoughts? Because I'll get back to you.
I would say, in a perfect world, everybody should be able to come out when they feel comfortable too, and like when, like, you know, they discover it, like, because it's exciting news, like, depending on your company. But if you don't have supportive parents or a supportive network, you might not ever come out until you're away from that influence. So I think that depending on your situation, like, if you know that the people around you wouldn't be that excited about you coming out, like, do it at a time where you know that you're safe and you have your independence, and you'd be able to advocate for yourself. Because although lots of people are supportive and are grateful for their family members coming out, there's some people who could get hurt or like neglected from their family, or even disgraced if they come out. So it's definitely difficult. I didn't have a hard time coming out. I realized once I was 11 or so, but I was in a relationship with 2 men afterwards. I figured out I was bisexual, and I didn't realize that I wasn't happy until I was out of those relationships and I started dating a girl. So I still consider myself like pansexual technically, because it depends on someone's heart and their intent and how their morals and how they live their life. But I think that I'm more focused towards female-oriented, non-binary people, partially because I began out as bisexual, but I think also because of some trauma. It's a little bit difficult for me to interact with straight cis men at times, like if I'm alone, just because I've had those bad one-on-one experiences due to prior relationships. And I think that people who initially were in a heterosexual relationship going into the LGBT community, there's a little bit of a wall there getting in, because you kind of feel like an imposter in a way, because I feel like I came out so late as like being attracted to female presenting people or non-binary people, but I know that I wasn't in the position where I could express myself fully, not because my family would disown me, but because I believe that I had a sexual orientation that I didn't. So it was really nice to discover that about myself, and then to have my family and friends be pretty supportive of me. And on college campuses right now, there's a lot of support. There's pride flags hung up. Nobody I've ran into so far has been homophobic or transphobic, but I still get on edge when I'm in public, especially with Liz, because I'm so used to people being that way in the media, and like, you know, what people would tell me for other people who would go to nightclubs and stuff. So I want to always be protective of her for being LGBT, and then I want to respect, or I want to validate our relationship. So I have to get out of the mindset that everybody is like, you know, homophobic or transphobic and is out to get me, because it kind of dampers my mood when I'm always looking around for a threat in a way. Even though we're in a pretty relatively safe area and a pretty like queer loving area, so I'm pretty safe relatively speaking.
Going back to perceptions of how others see me, I'm trying not to care about that as much, because the more I try to think about what other people think of me will just cause me anxiety And honestly, when they probably go to bed at night, they're not going to think about it at all like I would.
No, no.
So I'm trying to get
No.
in the process of reframing. Who am I going to let live in my head rent free? That's what my therapist would tell me. It's definitely not people who have hurt me. I shouldn't, because I have way more better things to focus on. And, you know, that's hard too, because I haven't been in a relationship that was healthy before, and this is all like very new because I wasn't how do I word this? I wasn't loved properly by most people in my life for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
And I was very paranoid and suspicious of people, and I'm still combating that, but I'm doing miles better now because I'm learning you can trust people. And I can be in a loving, healthy relationship because of my upbringing. I grew up in not a healthy situation. I don't know if you know, Tree. It was like there was abuse and stuff, but my mom's great. She's doing better, but you know, going back to the angle, I think I've always liked females. I've never really liked a guy, but I know it's the heart that matters. I just never clicked with their energy.
Yeah,
You seem to try to one-up me a lot, I guess, because I would dress like a guy a lot too.
Yeah.
It's my energy, but I don't care. I'm just vibing. I don't want no drama or no beef. And then one time it's mainly in public too. Sometimes guys will be like, hey, I thought this, like I walked into the bathroom. This was at Walmart. So sometimes things happen all over. This guy followed me into the women's bathroom and he goes, oh, I thought, and you know, the guy that was like, man, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he looked right at me and there's, I guess, cause you're dressed up like that. I thought this was the men's bathroom, but it didn't seem nice.
He knew.
He knew. But little things like that, and people call me tranny, and that's a bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at the fair. Yeah, and but you know, I think if you just know when you find the right healthy relationship for you, and it takes time.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I'm gonna say like this. It does take time, but a lot of times, you know, like in those instances when you're in a dysfunctional relationship, when you're dealing with a true narcissist who's all about, look at me, the circus show, whatever, or you know, they do everything to make themselves look like the, you know, whatever, you know, in front of everyone's eyes, and then just because you're quiet or you have, you know, various disabilities, they try to take advantage of that, which I dealt with. Or let's give you a quick example, and I'm going to segue back onto you. I dealt with someone who always call the females bitches. Oh, bitches. I'm like, oh, really? We're really? But yet you want to have intimate relations with us? And then I'm like, do you realize how caveman-ish that sounds? And do you understand you don't have a functional relationship? Why you don't? Because you have not changed and progressed. Maybe you should try to become more of a sapiosexual or demisexual in your spirit, and then maybe you'll find more harmony, you know, within yourself. You know, but you know, you both get what, you know, the whole. We're all in the same boat when it comes to this, you know, especially with, you know, abusive situations, you know, abusive family dysfunctions and so forth and whatnot. But here we are today. We're strong and powerful, you know, leading, you know, with LCA and doing our thing in media and school and still persevering. You know, I wanted to ask you two though is, how did you both find a positive way to get you through all the negative from the past relationship to where you're at now? Can you kind of give the world some positive insights what they can do when they're in the same shoes right now?
That's a little bit difficult for me because I'm still struggling with that every day. Like, to be realistic, my bad relationship was in 2020, the first one, and then the other one started in I think 2013, 2014, and that was 7 years. The other one was 3 years, and it is about 3 years since that other one passed almost. And when I have empty space in my head, it's there, and like those scary moments come back a lot. But I think the best thing that I've learned to kind of get it out of my head is art and spending time with people who don't make me feel that way. And it is challenging because going back to like knowing what a healthy relationship is, I didn't know that I could be this happy. I didn't know that like life could be this good until I found Liz. And it's because
You're so cute. I like this, so cute.
just because I was told growing up that I couldn't do XYZ, or I should be happy just having someone who'll understand me, or feeling that I should feel grateful that someone puts up for me, because part of my like disability is it's really hard for me to like process things quickly, so I have to think about it in my head, or when I get emotional I get really, really, like I used to call it inconsolable, like I wouldn't be able to be calmed down and stuff, and it was really difficult. And
you find
like,
that you're really analyzing really deeply about stuff too as well?
Oh yeah, or I overthink things, where I think that a scary situation is about to happen, and or I have rituals that I have to go through to calm down. And
there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right. But I was told that like I should be grateful to like have somebody who doesn't support me for that, but who just like puts up with it, or loves me even though it's annoying. And once I found someone who actually unconditionally loved me and supported me through issues, I was able to realize what I was without. So that's a little bit of an unexpected struggle that I get being in a healthy relationship now, because there's certain things that I'm programmed to get a certain response for, but like I have to learn that it's okay and that I don't have to be scared. Like if I'm crying or something like that after being emotional or something, I'll apologize a lot, and I'm used to like, you know, not being talked to or given the cold shoulder because, you know, I was acting up or something. But knowing that I can just hug her or talk to her, she'll give me advice, and there's no judgment, there's no bitterness hanging over my head, or no long-term punishment, it's really freeing, and it's really amazing. And I really hope that like everybody who listens to this is able to like find that kind of happiness one day, because it's really incredible and life-changing.
Honestly, I when I saw when you update your status list, I was like going, oh, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I saw you got both your pictures, and you doing all this fun stuff. I was like, this is so freaking cool, they're so happy. When I see you both are happy in the pictures, you're having a great time. You're going to anime conventions and stuff and doing so much fun stuff that I said, tell anyone, just take your partner and take advantage of that moment of time, because time is very short. Tomorrow is never granted for us, so we need to take the time to enjoy just today with each other. And this is why I love seeing those pictures you post of yourselves online. I'm like, yeah, they're taking advantage of life today. Yes.
Yeah. And I agree with everything that Sam said, because like I said, going back into the healthy angle and not being used to things being healthy based on examples or experiences, and finally feeling safe. And it's great that I'm safe and that she feels safe, but sometimes feeling safe at least like can be a little scary, but not in the way you think. Because like, wait, what if there's a catch? And then I've realized there's absolutely no catch.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to wait for a shoe to drop. And that was my biggest thing, especially in the beginning of the relationship, because it was so new and I was listened to and not, I was not being judged, and I was understood and supported, and like Sam was saying, and she didn't get mad at me, and I thought she'd get mad at me.
You became braver.
Yeah.
Used to be very timid to ask me things or to do certain things, and me too, because I used to be so timid because I was kind of walking on eggshells a little bit, not because I was afraid of her, but I was afraid of me doing that because I wasn't used to it.
I was afraid of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. More like it was on me. Like, am I gonna mess up? What will I do? And then everything was fine.
Right. I want, I want to ask you in a segue back onto, I know we're discussing about relationships and dysfunctional relationships. What advice can you provide folks who are going through, they're navigating what we've navigated already? We pushed through. Okay, we're I mean, I'm single, but you two are together. But what can you tell others, in a positive note, And for me, I would say, hey, you know what? Find a support group, go to therapy, get, run marathons, go to the gym, do what can you provide?
I think that for anybody currently listening, if you're in an abusive relationship, figuring out that you are in one is like a great first step, because a lot of times when you realize you're in one, like you're pretty deep in, and the sooner you find the resources available, the sooner you can get out of it. So like financial independence and vehicle independence or transportation independence of any kind is like number one, definitely. And then making sure you have a safe place to go where your identity isn't being disclosed. I think that's the best way to deal with it like that. But day to day, I think that what you should know is that what you went through wasn't your fault, and that sometimes there's no reason for people to be cruel or evil. Like you can justify it in any way you want, like maybe they had a bad childhood or something, but
I gotta get the food.
But at the end of the day, somebody had the capacity to like take your presence and your life, and they were able to treat it poorly, and you should use those poor experiences not to dwell on how bad it was, but to use it as a guideline and learn that you never want to be treated that way again. So definitely try not to repeat history, and if you see a pattern of somebody and that it's happening again, take that knowledge into your relationships, platonically and relationship wise, because you don't want to let any more people take advantage of like your heart or something that you do, because people who want to manipulate others will know what you're good at, and unfortunately they'll use it to their advantage. So stopping that cycle as it is very good, and then not taking that bitterness, that anger out on those around you when you can help it, because although you're hurting inside, it's good to take it out maybe on art or an activity, walking around, exploring a new place, or being alone is really good too, because I need alone time as well. But getting it out like that and making sure that you don't repeat the cycle or treat other people the way that you were treated that made you feel bad.
There you go.
Exactly. Getting it out of your head is the first step, and however form you feel is a healthy way to get it out. You should feel release after it. You shouldn't feel worse. Mm-hmm. So like Sam said, art's great. And as you know, I make a lot of art too. And music, talking about when you're ready. Poetry and getting it written. And once you get it out, whatever format you choose, you are in control because it's out of your head. You could see it for what it is. You could frame it. You could rip it up. You could show it to someone or keep it to yourself. But that leaves you with a choice of how you want to handle that feeling or thought. And then you can notice patterns like Sam said too. And how you deserve to be treated versus what you were treated is huge. Knowing that you deserve good things, and that when people treat you bad, there's no need to justify it because that's your well-being.
Know your value and your worth, and don't take behavior even if you're used to it, because if you know your value and your worth, you'll know that you won't tolerate people treating you a certain way, and when you have that, you have a lot more power. I think.
I totally agree. And it's funny as you mentioned this, I was sometimes skim through online and social media, just looking at pictures and stuff, and this one picture popped up, and it shows this beautiful lady, and she's on the floor, she's wearing some shorts and wearing a little top, and she kind of, you could tell she's kind of like giving up on herself, got a little bit of weight. You could tell that one time that she, really took pride in, her fitness and stuff. And the quote said, don't start saying, well, I'm used to it, an abusive relationship or a narcissistic, a toxic relationship, where the person doesn't really care about you. All they care about is whatever their agenda is, and or how they want to manipulate, after you've broken up, to make themselves look like the better person, rather than trying to, I would say, functionally, in a very constructive way, talking about the behavior, talking with the person, and saying, hey, you know what? I realized I was a dick. I was an asshole. Or, hey, we both weren't compatible. I realized X, Y, and Z. Even if that being said, it's funny. I have a friend that we used to date, and it's funny. A few days ago, we had like the most silliest argument over what was, and the guy just got bent out of shape over what my statement was, and he was like, well, I think this, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And he got really emotional, and I was like, you know what, take it down 1,000. It's not that serious. And his voice started raising, and I said, look, you're doing that thing. 1, we're not in a relationship. We're just friends. 2, stop it. Recognize your pattern, what you're doing. If you don't recognize it, what's going to happen is you're going to continue being the same person in your next relationship with the next person you're with.
Mm-hmm. Something I learned that is really, really important to anybody, like, you don't have to be hit to be in a violent relationship, and you could be violent without using your fists. You could be violent by screaming, throwing things off of walls, pushing things. That's all violent behavior, and you shouldn't stand for or be comfortable with violent behavior going on with you.
Sometimes it's not always violence either. I dealt with the person I dated before, several of them. They were chameleons. They were charming, and in front of, and and all of a sudden, when you're behind closed doors and you confront them about their issues, and they go, what's the problem? It's not that big of an issue. Why are you, it's your, you're just insecure. Or you say, hey, look, why are you floating with some other person in front of me? That's rude. Oh, is this just your insecurity? I'm like, really? Okay. That's a problem there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
or like one I've heard before is, well, after you've been in a relationship with someone and they say, well, I decided, what you do with your body is your body. I do with my body is my body. I'm like, oh, wow, we're there now. Oh, after being together so many years. Okay. All right.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah. So those are so many layers and layers and layers and layers of it.
Communication is key. Like, if somebody wants to be in a polyamorous relationship, definitely, or in a polycule of some kind.
Which I understand, but you
can't just feel like, yeah.
You just gotta be straightforward about the relationship from the get-go, and not, use the relationship for your advantage.
The last relationship I had was during the 2020 pandemic.
Yeah.
And I just graduated with my 2nd degree from Monroe Community, and I started living with him because I lost my job at the college, because I used to work as a peer advisor and like a navigator, and my car didn't work anymore. It was the middle of winter. I needed a job. He had a job opening somewhere, and I just broke up with my other boyfriend, and he was helping me. So we moved in together, and if I didn't live with him or was financially dependent on him and his car for transportation and stuff, it would have been a lot easier for me to get out of the situation, because he was my ride to work when we worked together. He always knew where I was because I stayed there. I worked with him, and it was easier for him to get a hold of me and stuff. I barely saw like my family and stuff, and it's because I didn't have the ability to. So if you're in a situation like that, or you suspect you're in a situation like that, like having that like plan B, like kind of escape is key, because once you got that, like, it's a lot easier for you to get to a safe place. But if you truly think that you're not in a safe place, like it's not good to be in a situation where you're relying on a person so bad that like if you messed up they would leave you with nothing, you know. And it was kind of a fear-based relationship after a while.
Which is
it's like and then it gaslights you like, oh, what do you mean you're getting upset by that? You're staying here with me, like you're lucky, like, you know, I'll leave you with nothing and stuff, blah blah blah. Like, and so I wouldn't usually be okay with somebody flipping tables in front of me or throwing a gaming controller at my head like full force because they lost a match in something. Like, but I was so used to that, and I was told it's no big deal. Looking back at it like 2 years later, I'm like, holy crap. Like, I cannot believe I let that happen to me every day. And not only let that happen to me, but like went to that person and begged them for like help and saw them as like a caregiver, you know what I mean? So it's really difficult to like acknowledge you're in that state, I guess. But once you acknowledge it, take that knowledge and run, because like it's kind of like you just like gain another level of consciousness. You kind of get out of this bubble where you're internal and you see it from outside points of view. And a good way to get that outside point of view empathy is to hear other people's stories and to share your stories with other people, because you get to bounce back ideas and know, wait, I'm not crazy. If I was crazy, how is it happening to like all these other people who are going through a similar situation? Which even though it's tough to talk about and people don't like to talk about situations like that and people don't want to offend XYZ, it's good to talk about your situations even if you don't want to name names of the person, because you're getting it out of your head. And if someone else, like there's so many people in the world, there's some chance that the exact same situation I describe or Liz describes or you describe, like they'll be like, wait, I saw that happen in my partner or in my friend's partner or something like that, and it's been happening a lot. I didn't know that was something bad. So I think that's good. Something like that. I went on a tangent there, I'm sorry.
Right. I mean, I agree with everything what you're saying. I mean, honestly, I think honestly, when it comes to, you know, relationships, you know, it doesn't matter if you're in a heterosexual or LGBT, what relationship that you're in, but you know, when it comes down to when you get ready to break up or when you're going through what you're going through, it's you handle it to yourself, not invite your buddies into your world and using it as an entertainment show or whatever, just kind of as a comedic, you know, or just you know, bashing, you know, or it becomes so many layers upon layers upon layers upon layers that, you know, so many people get caught up in. That's like for like I say, for example, the person who's going through that relationship and they need someone to talk to, but they don't have really a lot of people to talk to because the person that they're with has turned everyone in the community that's been around
flying monkeys
by their narcissistic, you know, behaviors and all the participating in it, and it's all the monkeys playing, you know, the big circus show. But you know, segueing off of that subject, I wanted to really discuss more in regards to you know, your advocacy, what you both have been doing, your role with LCA, not just with LCA, what else you've been participating in outside of LCA.
Sure. Well, we've been going to a lot of Comic Cons. We're aiming to do more panels together. We were on a waiting list for New York City Comic Con this past year, but I'm hopeful that next year it'll work out. And it's about inclusion. We just advocate for neurodiversity, mainly how autistic females or non-conforming genders are under the radar compared to cis straight white autistic males. You know, we were talking about this, we get really fired up because like girls or non-binary autistic folk, what have you,
autistic.
Oh yeah, or they have to work way harder. Oh my goodness, school was so hard, but it was worth it. But it was very hard, and harder than most of my, you know, male autistic peers who are normally like white, middle class, straight, you know, they got their way if they got a meltdown.
Yeah.
They got
But-
support.
You know, but when a girl does the same thing or shuts down, it's, oh, they're misbehaving. And people don't look at the why of the behavior, they just look at the behavior. They look
Yeah.
at it for face value. And a lot of girls may go under the radar due to masking or trying to blend in more, because from my experience, I can't speak for every girl who identifies autistic, but we tend to imitate a lot, right? And we blend like
Yeah.
chameleons. And
It was a survival mechanism
Yeah.
for me a little bit, because I got picked on by the teachers and the students when I was in special education so badly. I equated like neurodivergent equals bad, like neurotypical equals good. So I was like, I had to try to figure out a way to navigate the world without using all the different skills I developed over my youth to like cope, you know? So it was kind of like starting over when it came to masking. And I think that a lot of people in my family and some other like colleagues and stuff might not think that I'm autistic just because I can mask pretty well. But I think that over the few years I've spent with some introspection, especially since the pandemic and the year I took off of school, I was able to let loose a little bit more and kind of be a little bit more expressive of my identity.
I wanted to ask you, who are your mentors? Who have been your mentors in your life, and or even as your younger years, or someone, at least one or two people that have stuck out that have, or who are still mentors in your life, and kind of give the world your take on that.
Okay. I'll start. Two really big mentors for me that continue to mentor me. First is Samantha Kraft, because I've known her longer indirectly, and then I got to meet her in person, so we've known each other a long time. And if, for those who don't know, she's an autistic female and writer, author of Everyday Asperger's, which we recognize Asperger's is technically an outdated term, but she's known for that. And she made this autistic checklist. So if you're questioning if you're autistic and you're a girl or non-conforming gender, look at that checklist, because if you fit the bill, then it's most likely you're that. She's an expert on it. And we're working on a project soon. I don't know if I can reveal it yet without her permission, but stay tuned for something really cool in the next couple of years. And she's been a great influence because she embraces her diversity and neurodiversity, and that's what I strive to do and continue to help others, encourage others to help do the same. And then there's Alec Frazier, who I'm sure you know of, Tree, who first introduced me to LCA. And while he did pass away, I still feel his presence and his energy and awesome spirit, even though he's somewhere else having adventures. But he is also an author of Any BD Autism. He wrote a lot of like blogs and cool, amazing entries about pop culture, media, disability rights. He was a dynamo, and we did a New York City Comic Con panel together with him in 2019. The whole panel can be found on YouTube, but he continues to influence me daily, even though he's not here. So if your mentor dies, doesn't mean they're gone. You can still learn from them too. And I'm glad I got to meet him.
And for me, I'm pretty new to a professional journey in advocacy. I advocate for myself and those in my community, but I've never done it on a larger scale effort like with Lights, Camera, Access and with all the projects I do with Liz. So I would even consider Liz somewhat of a mentor, because she helps me network and helps me realize how many different opportunities are out there for all kinds of people.
Oh yeah. There's a lot out there. There's so many. It's just unbelievable, you know. And that's why I look at it like this is really important to take advantage of all of what you can, how you can get yourself out there, you know, and being, participating in, writing, to juror, to whatever you want to be involved in, to contests and whatnot, or I would say nonprofit to helping others, in various communities and stuff, besides just the LGBT and disability community. But I also go outside of other, like, indigenous and other communities as well. It's just amazing being able to meet so many, people out there and connect. And I don't know if you ever heard of NAMI.
What, the mental health?
Yeah. I use them quite frequently sometimes, like in between, like when I'm not seeing my therapist, because it's like a whole group of us that will jump on Zoom. And not that I get on there just to really vent or anything, I'm just like kind of just, oh, I'm okay, I'm about 7 today, but I'll be all right. But it's nice to be able to, we're supportive. And they're like, it's funny, like, I'm not on there a while and I'll jump on, and I haven't been on a few months. They're like, Tree, where you been? Oh my God, we missed you. And just to hear that speaks volumes, and that's why I say it's very important for anyone to get, to get involved and be helpful and supportive, because it's not only just about being involved, what you're doing in the community stuff. Like, I do this show, I told everyone, you know what, I do this show not only as a basis upon allowing everyone in the community to be able to tell their story, but I use this show as therapy for myself, because being a person with onset fluency disorder, and having grown up with selective mutism, I use it as my voice and speak and articulate. Sometimes it may take me longer to get out what I'm saying. Sometimes I might stutter, but I go, you know what? I'm going to keep talking and keep embracing it, and just not allowing that negative thing popping in my head, or that anxiety that pops inside here. And I start to go, should I go run the corner, hide, or should I cry? Like, no, keep going. And honestly, I love the fact that both of you have come into each other's lives, and you're doing such amazing things, and it just warms my heart that actually it motivates. It's exciting to be able to see more of us to keep pushing out there, doing what we're doing, our creative craft, and it's just being ourselves. No matter if we're on our bad day, we're still doing the damn thing.
And the fact that you're still there is like powerful and inspiring in itself. If you're able to like get up, take care of yourself, or go to school, or you're able to, make someone smile. I think that that's the point of life, is interacting with other people and connecting and being able to experience each other's lives through their stories and like their words and stuff.
I totally agree. It's and honestly, just like I say, there are days where I can be the most goofiest person there is. And I get a lot of young people looking at me like, what the hell? And I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna have fun being goofy. I'm in my 50s. I love it.
I hear you.
Yeah. So I wanted to be able to ask you though, can you kind of tell the world like the negative impact from society in some way, like did a reverse where it pushed you harder to be where you're at?
Oh yeah. Well, do you want to go first?
Sure.
All right.
So I'm trying right now to transform the bitterness and anger I used to have towards the world for giving me like such a bad situation, and I'm using it to be proud of myself and to be grateful that not only was I able to accomplish what I accomplished without the abilities or the certain resources other people, like maybe a neurotypical or somebody with money, would have. And I was able to build a foundation myself, and I can look back throughout my own history and take pride in my work. But for a really long time, and even right now, I can get moments where I'm really bitter and angry because like I'm like, oh, why is the world so much easier for certain groups of people? Her and I were talking about that with just me setting appointments or reminding things. I was upset saying like, no one else has so many roadblocks like me, like, why is the universe out to get me? And she said that it wasn't the universe out to get me, just sometimes there's highs and lows that you go through, and the best way to get around that is to know that like you'll come out on the other side fine.
Yep. And exactly what Sam said. And she and I have both been through different but parallels when it comes to experiences with other groups, for example, seeming like they have it easier, but in the long run, because you and I had to work harder, it set us up better in the long run, I feel, because now we can know how we learn and how we can advocate better and support ourselves better, because a lot of the people who seem like they have it easy, well, they've had a lot of things handed to them, but they didn't earn it, and they didn't do the work like we did. Another thing, what I do with my anger, and I get a little angry every now and then too, and it's natural as long as you don't try not to get stuck in it. I used to get stuck in it a lot. And I do have maybe, because I cycle my moods, and I do have little moments in some days where it feels like I'll be stuck in that feeling. But this is a reminder to everyone that feelings, like moods and stuff, they're never permanent. Never fully permanent. Meaning when you get low, you can keep going up when you're ready. Sometimes all you can do is ride the wave. But remember in your head that the feelings will get better, and there's always wheels and cycles, and it doesn't mean everything's out to get you, because I used to think everything was out to get me too and stuff, but I did a lot of reframing, think there's just contrast in life. There's a shadow to a light, and they can't exist without each other, but it gives us deeper appreciation for the hard times, because now we learn how to articulate and connect and change that pain, like Sam was saying, into something lighter and release it. I try to give my energy to the universe. Universe, please take this, put it in a shape, put it in an orb, put it in whatever shape or identity or image, or maybe it doesn't have, maybe it's anonymous.
Return it unopened.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do a lot of the, we call it that as well. I'll catch myself getting ready to think negative, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't be that kind of day. Go to the gym, go punch the bag, go kickbox, do what you gotta do, pump weights, get on that treadmill and just run whatever you gotta do, walk on that treadmill for an hour, get out your system. Or hey, you're like, and I don't feel like going to the gym. You know what? I'm just gonna veg and watch some Netflix and just chill out, and just no computers, no nothing, and not even I would say detach myself from the internet. Just the only thing I would do is just watch a movie and just say, you know what, I'm gonna find something that makes me laugh. Hey, watch some Seinfeld, watch some, Frasier, watch, some other shows that are just, make you laugh, that brings you back to your childhood memories, or good happy moments, as I call them,
To ground yourself, like especially if you're having a meltdown or some other, like, thoughts that are making you feel anxious or scared. Like, having that system, I think, is really important for anybody with a disability or going through any hardship. Is have a few ways you can ground yourself. So if like you're in those situations, it won't make it better like right away, but it'll get you on the path to getting better.
Yes,
exactly. I kind of want to ask you a quick question about this, because I know I have a friend who, her and I both are really deep into, we call feeling spirits or feeling presence of spirits, and I've been find myself connecting more to that whole. And there's a lot of people are not into it, whatnot.
Oh, spiritual.
Yeah,
Yes. I know a lot about that.
You do.
Yes, I do.
And you find that they always say that a lot of, because I'm more of like a combination of introvert and extrovert, but they say introverts like ourselves, we can feel, like we walk into a room, we can feel what people are saying and feeling without
It's hard, yeah.
Both of us, yeah.
yeah. You're like, what the heck is going on here? Why am I?
Yeah.
You had to leave that one
I
time.
had to leave. Sometimes I have to leave. It's hard for me, especially when I was younger and didn't know why I was feeling that. I just associate with being extreme empathy, very empathic. And it's like I'm a sponge or a magnet, everything just absorbs. And sometimes I can't tell others' feelings from my own because I feel everything. I either go into shutdown mode or panic mode. Lately it's been drained, shutdown mode, or avoidance. Like, okay, I'm gonna de-poof. I call it de-poofing.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's too much. And Sam has the biggest empathy out of everyone I know.
Thank
Probably
you.
even more than me. Because I am a little matter of fact. But I don't know, you're just very kind.
Thank you.
And, you know.
I don't want people to go, like, I don't want people to feel ways that I felt in the past that have made me feel better, or feel ways that I know have, like, impacted me long term. And I guess I don't know when to not give my all, because I end up being a little bit trusting. And a good quote I heard is, don't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Like, yeah, keep yourself number one. And if you see yourself giving more kindness and love to other people than yourself, you need to self-evaluate and know that you're just as important.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Definitely. Because, well, we both have extreme empathy. Matter of fact, you're better at putting yourself in people's shoes, which I really like. Because I learn a lot from that, too. Like
yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. I was agreeing, but you go.
I help her advocate for herself because I get very vigilante, I guess.
Yes.
And like, if she'll tell me like, oh, blah, 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 and I'll be like, what?
Yeah.
And it's good because she's not used, and a lot of other people aren't used to like being able to be their own voice, or like, you know, being used to an authority figure saying something and knowing there's no point in like fighting it because it's not going to change. But even if there's like a 99% chance that it won't change, it's still worth your effort to always advocate for yourself and know the value of your labor and your work and your words.
You said it's important to because I'm showing people how to treat me, and that's just a big lesson Sam's helped me learn.
It'll be how they treat other people too.
Yes. But yeah, that's the big thing. What were you saying with the spiritual stuff, though?
Yeah. It was just, I mean, I was just really, I was just kind of segueing that on being an empath. It's just, you know, times you get people who, they want to dump all their problems on you all the time. You're like going,
oh yeah, yeah, psychic vampires. Well, that's one term.
Yeah.
Or info dumping, because they know you're an empath, and maybe they subconsciously know this, or maybe they do, but it's actually a good thing in the long run, because it shows that you're very receptive and open and caring.
Yeah, attentive. Yeah, but I'm like,
when people draw to you like a lamp, that's what would happen to me. But sometimes what was hard for me in early college is the wrong people would gravitate toward me, like users and people would take advantage and I was too trusting. Yeah. And I still am a little bit, but I got the matter of factness because I'm very direct. I don't beat around the bush. But
yeah, I like that. Now, I mean, honestly, I wasn't direct before, but I've become much more direct, and that was one of the things that I'm pretty sure, like you know, like a lot of folks in the community around you have said the same thing, is be more direct. They said, look, there's a time and place for this. You know, I understand you're going through a lot, bro, but you know, it's too much. It's too much. Right now, my energy right now is getting kind of weird and icky, and I can't deal with too much of it. You know, there's only so much you can kind of, we call, absorb, and then you find like your energy starts to get shaky.
Yeah, you gotta go in the battery saver mode.
There you go. There you go. Go,
Recharge.
Recharge.
Never let someone tell you that your boundaries are unreasonable, or that if someone breaks your boundaries, give them like a 3-time rule, even less, because I think that breaking boundaries has to be intentional and malicious after a certain point.
Yeah.
So don't let somebody's friendship personality or relationship personality be them. Oh, they're gonna break this boundary, or they're meeting me halfway. Like your boundaries are super duper important, and knowing how to manage your boundaries is one of the most important skills.
Yes.
I think a person can have, like, when it comes to interacting with other people.
Exactly. 100%.
Exactly, and I think a lot of it too now. Like I tell a lot of folks, I'm like, you know, you don't have to tell every morsel of your personal business to everyone on the freaking street. The only time you tell your personal stuff to is with the person that you're with, and you guys are talking at home, and you guys are having a very intimate, intellectual, stimulating conversation, and you move past it. But it becomes too much, you know, when you're bringing too much of all that absorbed in our social dynamic when we're out at a function. You're like, or you're trying to find the avoid game. You're like, oh god, not that person again. Let's go over here, okay?
I know what you're talking about.
I think I know.
She knows. You both know. You're like, okay. Oh yeah, I love you, but
I feel that way with people. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I feel that way even with people who I know I enjoy being around, and I get a little bit guilty with that, but like I'm coming to accept my boundaries and stuff, and know that like you could still like a person and still enjoy their company, but know that their energy's being a lot, or that you're not in the mood to talk to them or something like that. And doesn't make you a bad friend or a bad person or anything. It's a form of self-care, which is really important.
Exactly. Or sometimes you may say, hey, look, you know what? If you're gonna come over and hang with us, look, today is just one of those days where it's a chill day. Let's just, you know, we can do some painting, poetry, we can watch a movie, but let's keep all the deep stuff outside.
Yeah. Other people.
I want you both, each of you, get kind of express one-line sentence or two. Can you tell the world what disability isn't to you?
I have 2 sentences. Disability is not always linear and is not something to be ashamed of. And here's the behind the scenes of that quote. I guess linear is the word that came to my head because things can branch and change and evolve, like your labels, your identity, your conditions, and it's not always just a one portrait snapshot. Disability is so much more, but it's also something you shouldn't have to be ashamed of because it's reality. Like a quarter of the whole United States has a disability of some sort. According to statistics, 1 in every 4, as you know. And it's a fact, but it's something that should be embraced more.
Disability is an empowering yet potentially limiting word, and it should not be used by other people as a weapon. More so, it should be kind of armor and a pedestal that people can use to feel connected with others in their community, and like feel like there is equity in a world where there sometimes isn't. That's more than 2 sentences.
Well said. Well, you know, on that note, I want to say thank you to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate it, especially this time of evening. I do apologize for the time frame. You guys are on the East Coast, on Pacific Standard Time, but I really appreciate both of you for being able to sit with me and talk to me about your lives and giving the world a true insight of, you know, looking at how to treat relationships differently. Not only just that, just your career and just being the most passionate, positive people in the world. Um, and yeah, I want to say thank you. But
Thank
on that
you.
note, audience, until next time, this is Tree Lowe from Phenomenal Disabilities. Until next time, see ya!
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Live with Tree Lowe. Brilliant. Powerful. Authentic. A Hollywood sign appears. Credits roll. Don't just exist, live. Social media handle at Vision Edge Media. Website visionedge.media. Vision Edge Media, contemporary divine innovation.